The night fell heavily over Brooksville, casting a deep, oppressive darkness that seemed to seep into every corner of the town. The forest, usually a mere backdrop to the everyday lives of its residents, now loomed like a foreboding specter, shrouded in a dense fog that curled and writhed with a life of its own. Strange, eerie sounds floated through the air, distant, unsettling whispers and faint, distorted laughter that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere all at once. In the heart of this unsettling calm stood an old, decrepit house, its silhouette barely visible against the gloom. The moonlight struggled to pierce through the tangled branches, casting twisted shadows that danced menacingly along the walls. Inside, the air was thick with the stench of mildew and decay, and every creak of the floorboards seemed to echo with the ghosts of the past. The silence was palpable, broken only by the occasional, unnerving rustle that suggested the presence of something unseen. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness, the sinister clown, his face painted with a grotesque grin that seemed to stretch unnaturally. His eyes, cold and unblinking, glinted with a malevolent light as he moved with an unnerving grace through the shadows. The laughter, now clearer and more chilling, seemed to come from him alone, filling the air with a sense of impending doom. What appeared to be a mere haunting was far from ordinary. It was the climax of a long-buried terror that had awakened once more. The clown's twisted game was about to reach its horrifying peak, and the true nature of the nightmare was about to be unveiled. The shadows held more than just dark secrets. They were the gateway to an unimaginable horror that had been lying in wait, ready to claim the souls of those who dared to uncover its truth. The town of Brooksville had never seen many noteworthy events, and the arrival of the traveling circus was the highlight of the week. When the noisy caravan stopped in the town square, children, parents, and even the elderly gathered, drawn by the promise of a unique spectacle. However, amidst the colorful tents and exotic animals, there was one figure that didn't quite fit: a solitary clown with a penetrating gaze, standing out with his unsettling presence. Parents ignored the discomfort they felt seeing the clown. It was just part of the show, they thought, but something about the way the clown watched people sent chills down many spines. His eyes, a deep and strange blue, did not blink and seemed to follow every movement with an unsettling attention. When night fell and the circus lights went out, the clown was still there, standing in a dark corner, with a smile that seemed more like a mask than a genuine expression. The next morning, things started to change. Some children who had seen the clown the night before began to report disturbing nightmares. They spoke of a clown appearing in their dreams, always with the same unsettling expression, always making empty promises of fun and joy. Meanwhile, parents tried to comfort them, but the growing fear was spreading through the town like a virus. The situation worsened when a child disappeared without a trace. The last time the girl was seen, she was near the circus area. Although the clown was the prime suspect, he was no longer there. The circus had left the next morning, leaving only a sense of emptiness and persistent fear. The town, once excited by the arrival of the circus, was now immersed in an atmosphere of panic and despair. With the clown's absence, Brooksville tried to return to normalcy, but the image of the clown, with his penetrating gaze and sinister smile, continued to haunt the dreams and minds of the townspeople. There was something deeply wrong with his presence, something that couldn't be easily explained or put into words. The fear was just beginning, and the real terror was yet to come. Brooksville, still shaken by the girl's disappearance, began searching for answers in every corner. An abandoned house on the outskirts of town, which had long been considered a creepy place, started to attract the attention of the townspeople. It was said that the clown had been seen there on the night the circus left, and some believed the house might hold clues about what really happened. With courage and curiosity, a group of residents decided to investigate. The house was an old, crumbling building, covered in a tangle of ivy and darkness. The group of explorers entered with flickering flashlights and racing hearts. Each room they passed seemed darker than the last, with dust dancing in the flashlight beams and echoes of ghostly footsteps resonating through the walls. The air was heavy, laden with the smell of mildew and something more undefined, a palpable sense of fear that seemed to be present in every corner of the house. In the attic, they found an old mirror covered in dust. When one of the flashlights shone on it, the reflected image looked distorted, almost as if the mirror was trying to hide something. Suddenly, the group heard a faint sound, like a distant laugh, causing everyone to freeze. It was the same laugh that children had described in their nightmares. The fear began to transform into a much more disturbing reality. As they delved deeper, they found an old box covered in spider webs. Inside were a collection of clown costumes and accessories that appeared to have been recently used. Among them was a photo of a smiling child, who seemed to be close to the clown. The group was torn between revulsion and horror, knowing that these discoveries were somehow connected to the girl's disappearance and the clown's mystery. The tension in the house grew, and the atmosphere became almost oppressive. The group felt as if they were being watched, as if something was waiting to reveal itself. Before they could explore further, an invisible force seemed to push them out, and the house fell back into absolute silence. They left with more questions than answers, feeling that the true mystery was still hidden in the shadows of that sinister house. The town, still traumatized by the investigation of the abandoned house, was about to face a new wave of terror. The annual town party was scheduled for the same night, and parents tried to keep things normal for their children as a form of distraction. But the atmosphere was charged, and a sense of unease hung over the party, as if something terrible was about to happen. The party, which was usually filled with music and laughter, was now shrouded in a sinister aura. The lights flickered intermittently, and the shadows seemed to move in strange ways. Children looked at each other with a mix of excitement and fear, while adults tried to keep control of the situation. However, a growing sense of discomfort was evident to all. In the midst of the party, the mysterious clown reappeared, this time with a more flamboyant and extravagant costume. His smile, wider and more sinister, seemed to radiate an ominous presence. Children, instead of backing away, were inexplicably drawn to him, as if an invisible force was compelling them to approach. Parents tried to intervene but felt powerless, as if they were in a nightmare where their actions were just shadows. When the music abruptly stopped and a thick fog began to form around the party area, a piercing scream echoed through the forest nearby. Panic quickly set in, and everyone rushed toward the sound, only to find a disturbing scene. Chaos with scattered children and a palpable sense of terror in the air. The clown was missing again, and the feeling that he had left something horrible in his wake lingered. The event ended in a frenzy of fear and confusion, with residents trying to gather their families and understand what had happened. The clown's presence seemed to be a constant shadow, and the feeling that he was always one step ahead left them with more questions than answers. The party in the forest had revealed a new level of horror, and the real reason behind the events was still to come. The panic in Brooksville reached a peak when another child disappeared. This time, it was a boy who had been seen last near the party, and fear spread like wildfire. The town was in an uproar, with search teams desperately combing every area, but the feeling that something was missing was palpable. Searches focused on the forest around the town, where residents reported hearing strange laughter and seeing shadowy figures moving between the trees. However, each search seemed to be in vain. Clues were scarce, and the feeling that something sinister was hiding in the depths of the forest only grew. With each passing day, the parents' despair and the town's anxiety increased, making the environment more oppressive. Rumors about the clown began to gain momentum, and many believed he had a direct connection to the children's disappearances. Some residents claimed to have seen the clown lurking in the forest, always keeping a safe distance but never stopping his observation. The idea that he might be using the forest as a hideout for his horrific acts increased the fear and sense of helplessness. Meanwhile, the clown continued to appear in residents' nightmares and visions. His smile, now more disturbing than ever, seemed to follow every movement and thought, making it impossible for people to feel safe. The clown's presence was becoming a constant in their lives, and terror was infiltrating every aspect of the town. Despair took hold of the residents, who began to question whether they would ever find a solution to the disappearances. The town was in a state of frenzy and confusion, not knowing where to search or how to deal with the terror that had settled in. The clown, with his constant and threatening presence, always seemed to be one step ahead, and hope was starting to fade. The fear in Brooksville reached a critical point when a group of brave residents decided to confront the clown head-on. They organized an expedition to find the source of the terror and put an end to the threat once and for all. With flashlights, cameras, and courage in hand, they entered the forest, determined to uncover what was hidden in the darkness. The path to the site was terrifying. The woods were shrouded in an almost impenetrable darkness, with trees seeming to close in around them. Strange sounds and whispers from the shadows kept the explorers' hearts racing as they tried to follow the trail of clues they had found. Each step seemed heavier than the last, as if the forest itself was trying to prevent them from moving forward. Finally, they arrived at a hidden clearing, where they found an old and eerie structure that seemed to have come out of a nightmare. The area was filled with items belonging to the missing children, including toys and clothing. The clown appeared in the center of the clearing, with a triumphant smile and an aura of supernatural power. He seemed to be waiting for them, as if he had planned this confrontation from the beginning. The confrontation was violent and terrifying. The clown revealed his true powers, manipulating shadows and creating illusions that confused and terrified the residents. The battle was a desperate fight for survival, with the townspeople battling against a force that seemed beyond any understanding. With each attack, the clown laughed with cruel pleasure, making the struggle even more desperate. At the climax of the battle, the clown was finally defeated, but not without leaving an indelible mark on the town. The clearing was left in ruins, and the fear that had settled in Brooksville seemed to have dissipated. But the feeling that the terror had never truly ended lingered. The clown had been vanquished, but the impact of his actions would continue to haunt the town for many years. As dawn broke over Brooksville, the once sleepy town was forever changed. The sinister presence of the clown had been vanquished, but not without leaving scars that would never fully heal. The clearing, once a site of intense horror, now lay in ruin, a testament to the desperate struggle that had unfolded within its shadows. The surviving townsfolk emerged from the forest, carrying with them not just the weight of their recent terror, but also the indelible mark of a nightmare they would never forget. Though the immediate threat had been neutralized, the remnants of the clown's malevolent influence continued to haunt the town's collective psyche. Whispers of his return and the echoes of his twisted laughter lingered in the minds of those who had faced him. Brooksville would carry on, but its people knew that the darkness they had confronted was merely a shadow of the deeper fears that lay hidden beneath their everyday lives. The legend of the clown would be told and retold as a chilling reminder of the terror that once gripped their town. As the residents tried to rebuild and move forward, they did so with a new understanding of their own strength and the haunting knowledge that some horrors leave a permanent imprint. The story of the clown, though ended for now, would serve as a somber cautionary tale of the darkness that lurks just beyond the edges of reality. If you found this tale chilling and want more stories that keep you on the edge of your seat, be sure to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our spine-tingling content. Stay tuned for more chilling tales that will haunt your dreams and keep you coming back for more.